uniting the races with truth instead of dividing them with lies. We're also rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Welcome to the third hour of the show today. My biblical question for this week. My biblical question: is life fair? Do we get what we deserve in life? Is life fair? Do we get what we deserve? I want to know. I have with me by Skype Ali Alexander. He is a GOP political consultant turned philosopher. You can find him on Twitter. We're going to get more information about him in a minute here. Ali, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. I can't believe you've been going on this morning for 3 hours already. You're a trooper.
It's amazing, man. I'm having a good time. I love doing this, so it's real easy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, your question is an interesting one. Is life fair? I happen to be of the same worldview as you as a Christian, and I say, thank God life's not fair. If we were given what we deserve, we'd all be up in hell. But, you know, there's an opportunity for grace and redemption, and, we're here to do some good work. So, thank God life's not fair, and we don't not all of us get what we deserve, but some of us do.
Very interesting, man. That's a very interesting feedback on that. Tell the folks a little bit more about you, those who might not be aware.
Yeah, so I've been doing GOP and conservative campaigns and working with nonprofits, 501c3s and 501c4s for 11 years now. It's kind of interesting. Most guys like me are behind the scenes. We're not running our own live streams or speaking. It's seen as kind of a third rail to associate with some of the mutual friends you and I have, like Mike Cernovich. However, I've just always had a following, and I've been able to speak my piece and still work with, folks like John McCain or the RNC, but then grassroots folks like Doug Hoffman back in New York 23, way back in the day, the first Tea Party race, Christine O'Donnell, and a number of other folks who have stuck it to the GOP establishment. So now I find myself in a point in my career where I want to talk to the MAGA base and this populist base that is flirting with right-wing ideas and conservative ideologies, because we have to have an educated population. So more operatives like me are kind of coming forward and speaking and networking and going places we wouldn't have gone before, and kind of leaving that old system behind, because it's a system of slavery. If we keep cooperating with the system, thinking we're going to beat these leftists at their own game, we're wrong. The system is rigged, and we have to build something new and bold.
How did you get involved in all this? What got you going?
I dropped out of college. A year after high school, I actually went to Bible college. My mom's more of a moderate in her faith and her politics, and she wasn't happy about that. So I went to the University of North Texas, and I'm sitting there in my Texas political science course, and the professor says, I've never worked on a campaign, and I've never worked in government. And I knew then that this was a system, one that I didn't already respect. It was making me antsy that I could not learn anything from. So I jetted off to the computer lab. And for the next semester, I was just in the computer lab every day, printing out every article on CNN I could, learning more about politics. And I had already, volunteered at the local level, phone banked for a number of judges and door knocked for them because my mother's a lawyer. And I said, I need to do a deep dive. And at the time, the Republicans had lost in 2006. They had lost the House and the Senate, and I could design web pages. So I started out as a web designer in Republican politics. Back then, there were only 13 of us doing what's now called digital, and now there's 3,000 folks in this field doing what we call now digital. Back then, we called it online media, then new media. We flirted with modern media. Now it's this ominous digital. And I was happy to help be a part of the second wave of pioneers that helped mainstream and streamline the Republican Party and the conservative movement.
Amazing. What do you say about these so-called pipe bomb stories?
I was watching Scott Adams, the creator of the Dilbert cartoon this morning. And, I think that, it's someone who is low IQ, low frequency. It's not a pipe bomb. It was not mailed. So this was a hoax to illustrate or demonstrate a point. And And, there is a good chance that this person is right-leaning. I don't think that they're going to be a Christian. I don't think that they're going to be conservative, not a bedrock conservative. But this is a person who might be a 4channer playing a hoax or trying to illustrate the absurdity of the media system that protects these Democrats who incite real violence, that get GOP congressmen gunned down in a baseball field, or thousands and thousands of Trump supporters maimed by these roving Antifa gangs. So, it could have been some high IQ person who was trying to illustrate the absurdity of the system, or it could have been some low IQ person who was simply, just mad at these Democrats who are inciting real violence and just want to get back at them.
Yeah.
But either way, they caused a media stir in favor of the Democrats, and that's awful going into these consequential midterms.
I hope that, as I reminded my audience today, is that they stay focused, stay on track. Remember that the illegal aliens are still coming. The Democrats are desperate to regain power. So let's not let the FBI and the authorities do what they need to do, but let's not be distracted, because that's what the Democratic Party definitely want, and the liberal media want us to do.
Absolutely true. And, the essence of the art of war, according to Sun Tzu, is the element of surprise, and all of war is deception. And, our jobs, not mobs, meme and narrative was working. The Kavanaugh stuff backfired. The Democrats were in desperate need to change the narrative, and we cannot let this be any more than a 2-day story. We need to protect the Republican. This midterm is probably the most consequential in our lives.
So do you believe that, what are you thinking about the midterm? Do you think it would go blue or more red?
Well, I don't have good news for the audience. I think that we're going to pick up 4 to 6 seats in the Senate. And I think in the House, the Republicans will lose it by 5 to 10 seats. But what I will say is my projection cannot be completely accurate. There's a disparity in the data. We can't understand yet where that disparity is, but the Republicans look like we're going to lose some of our governorships, which is fine. We're at an all-time high, but there's no reason why we should be running away with these Senate races while still losing some of these House races. So this is going to be very interesting, but the system is rigged, and that's why I think that we're going to lose the Houses. You have the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania gerrymander the crap out of this map, and so we're going to lose, a handful of seats in Pennsylvania that we cannot win because the court redrew the lines.
Amazing.
In New Jersey, we're going to lose 5 to 6 seats because of the property taxes and how the Republican tax bill affected California, New Jersey, and New York, and the whole scam that those state governments have had going on. So I'll be watching Virginia 5 and Virginia 2 early in the night, and those districts will tell us a lot about what suburban white women who may not like Trump, if they're voting for us or not. I'm going to be watching some swing districts in North Carolina, and that will tell us very early in the night what's happening. But I'll tell you, if we can hold a lot of seats in New Jersey, then there will be a red wall or a red wave. But if it looks like we're going to lose whatever, then we have 16 seats that we're baked in to lose, and we can only afford to lose 23. And so the probability of that's over 75%. So it's going to be a strange time, but Trump will be in control. Look for him to get a lot more executive in his role.
Yeah. I, as of this day, I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, of course, but I believe that we're going to gain rather than lose. We may lose 1 or 2. I just believe we're just going to gain because this president, the great white hope, is he's like out there campaigning, like 90 going north, and the lines that are there to see him are out of control. And I think that the energy that is being built up on the Republican side, we've never had a president to build up such energy during a midterm election. And so normally the Republicans don't show up. But this president is, he's energizing the folks and reminding them who we don't want in control and the things that he has done, and there's a lot more to do. And I think based on that energy, it's going to turn out well for us.
I hope so. I mean, I hope that you're right. It will break all of political science, which I'm hoping it does.
Me too.
And because then everybody has to start from scratch, and we're starting from, the Trump era. So I think that he's going to now sail through re-election. The Democrats have a bunch of bimbos and bobbleheads on their bench, and he's just going to demolish them. And but if we somehow keep the House, I think the Democratic Party's over. I don't know. They can't retake the Senate in 2020. They would have a slim chance if we could somehow keep it in 2018, while the Democrats have major enthusiasm. Then I can't see how the Democrats come back to power unless these globalists and Wall Streeters and Silicon Valley rig the economy, which we're seeing. Yesterday we had a scare on the Dow. I actually think that we're due for a market correction, but I say, don't put it past liberal Wall Street to force a recession to lower the approval ratings of President Trump. So that, they have all kinds of backup plans. They rig the media, they rig academia, they corrupt the churches, and then they go and then they create wars and recessions, anything to stop great reformers like President Trump.
You suggested that we are in a based era. What is a based era?
So what I think is that we are on a great awakening of sorts. And I think that what's really interesting is if you correlate every time the America has jolted right, be it with Reagan or during the Roaring '20s, it was preceded by a theological movement. So I think that what's happening is a lot of people are zeroing out and they're getting rid of ideologies, they're getting rid of labels, and they're saying, I want to be based. I want to start at zero and then learn facts from there.
I have a couple other questions for you. I'm going to hold you over just for a minute. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm talking to Ali Alexander. And how can people follow you?
Well, the best place to follow me is twitter.com/ALI. I'm just Ali on Twitter, and I have all my pithy thoughts. Even when I'm drinking some wine, I got some wine thoughts that I put out there on Twitter, and that's just probably the best way to connect with me. I also do live streams on Periscope nearly every day. I think that, again, we have to have our founding fathers said that we had to have a moral people and an educated people in order to keep our republic. It's not just the systems of checks and balances that we have. We also have to have an educated and moral people. So I really try to focus on teaching on those concepts on Periscope.
You define the word based for me. You said you suggest we're in a base era. Define base for me.
So based is like the foundation. Based is like the neutral platform. So there's a rapper called Little Based God, and he actually kind of came up and popularized this concept. And what he focuses on is love and all that other stuff. And I don't listen to his music or anything, but it was kind of an internet meme. And so sometimes you'll actually have people like on the far right say, oh, there's a based brown. So they would call you, Jesse. They'd call you a based brown, and they'd call me a based brown. And I used to be really offended by it. And then I thought, it's kind of cool that they view me as something neutral, and then I can build up from there. And so when I was writing this essay in January, what I was predicting was that the finance industry is about to get reset, that churches are about to get reset, that city states and nation states are about to get reset, that something is happening at the species-wide level, and this has to be happening, I think, in the metaphysical realm. You have to believe in God because there's nothing else that connects all of these industries and all of humanity except for our DNA, and our DNA can't say, oh, we need a reset. And we also outlined the problems of modernity, and not just postmodernism, but modernity in general. In Japan, we have a crisis where men are hooking up with Tamagotchi pets instead of women. So Japan is not breeding, which means that they have to take in more immigrants than they've ever had to take in. We have a problem where our money does not mean anything. And so this speaks to the rise of Bitcoin. You have conservatism, which hasn't totally served the people. Libertarianism is failing. Classic liberals are gone, and now you just have Marxists. So a lot of people are revisiting the base foundation and the core of what they believe, and they're building from there. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to come up with the right solutions. My friend Scott Adams says we're in a golden age. Well, I said, well, Scott, before we get to the golden age, we have to reach a great crossroads. And so we have to zero out first. And, we're going to approach the singularity where men kill themselves, or we're going to reach the golden age that Scott talks about, and focus on peace and love and growing prosperity together, and be more merit-based in how we govern ourselves. But we'll see. I mean, the jury's still out. Humanity has a desperate suicide wish, as we've seen.
So would you consider, based on the definition, would you consider the Great White Hope, who is President Trump, by the way, in case, a based president, a based man?
Yes.
Oh,
I mean,
unmovable, cannot be shaken, and that kind of. I got you. Okay, I like that.
Because here's the thing, though. He is a cultural liberal. He is a social liberal, and he's made allies with political conservatives. But in his heart, he's Americana. He's populist, and he's decided, I'm not going to surrender to either ideology. I'll surrender only to the things that I believe will make America great again. And I think that takes a based mindset, that he sees a solid foundation and he's willing to wheel and deal from there. And I think that only comes if you have a solid foundation. And that's why he's winning.
Yeah,
because we all get back down.
He seems to be just himself. You know,
Yeah.
I'm at a point in life where I am me. I'm no one else but me. And it's good being me. Mm-hmm. And so I think the president that way. So I got to ask you a few quick and fast questions.
Let's go.
Number one, what is love?
Oh, man, what is love? I'd say God is love. I think that love is unity, and love is being with God.
Do you have love?
I have love.
And how do you know you have it? How do you know you have it for sure?
I think I know I have love because when it is corrupted, or when I am corrupted, I feel a longingness and a missing for it. I think that love forgives. I think that love is patient. I think that love is kind. And I don't think any of those things come naturally or easy to us. But to long for it and to miss it, to give into love when it doesn't profit you immediately, I think that's a commitment and a bond to something that's stronger than any other social construct or physical object that we have here.
What is a man?
What is a man? I don't know. A man is a man is a man. A man is the first of the human creations and species.
A man is the first of the human creation and species. Is it right that you are a black conservative, right? You're conservative?
Yeah, I'm a biracial. I'm half black, half Arab. I was raised by a single black mother.
You half Arab?
I'm half Arab. Yeah,
That's
my dad.
Amazing.
Yeah. You can see it in my face. Everyone says I look like Sammy Davis Jr.
You do,
but this
man. You look just. Are you sure Sammy is not your daddy?
I'm sure. I wish. But that would have been nice. But no, this is the combination of African American, Texan, and my dad's from UAE, and he left when I was 2. But I got some of his facial structure.
Wow. Do you have a relationship with him now?
No, I don't. No, he left when I was 2. And we never
so
talked.
What's that like, not having a relationship with your father?
Well, I think it did create, a longingness. To get very personal, there were nights I would cry all the way into middle school, just wanting kind of that father figure. And my 2 brothers did not have a similar feeling, and I think that's innate in me because I'm the eldest, and so I think it's in our DNA. I try to merge the metaphysical with the physical, and I think that God programmed us all a certain way. I think birth order means something. I think all that stuff means something.
Your brothers were close. Your brother was raised by their fathers. Were their fathers?
No. So my middle brother has the same father, but he was a year and a half younger than me. So that means my dad left when he was about 6 months. And then my youngest brother is 7 years younger than me, and that's the product of another marriage. He's half white, half black. But my stepdad was abusive, so my mom left him. And so my brothers don't miss their dads, and so I miss my dad.
Why don't you find your father? Why don't you contact him and reconnect with him?
I think I would like to. I mean, he's in UAE. I hear that he's an engineer, but I've never spoken to him. But I think, one day I'd like to go to UAE, and I'd like to meet him. There's something special, a bond between a father and his firstborn. And, I would imagine that my father's pretty successful, comes from a very prominent family in UAE. And so he probably is remarried and has kids, but nobody will replace the firstborn son. I'm the heir You know?
And for those who don't know, the UAE is the United Arab Emirates, right?
Yes, sir.
I highly recommend that you find your father and reconnect with him, and that void that you have will disappear immediately, and you will be made whole. Man, it's been good talking to you.
Yeah, you too, Jesse Elliott. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Tell the people again how to get to you.
Twitter.com/ALI, or you can find me on Patreon.com/Ali Alexander, and I'm all over the place.
So when you're in town, be sure to let us know. We can have you in studio if you take some calls.
I'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you.
All right. Amazing.